It's a minute or two early. Should we get started? Yeah, all right, why not? Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Gaming Together, Do Couples That Play Together Really Stay Together panel. My name is Sean Cashman. This is my wife, Sarah Cashman.
Hi.
I know it's extremely dangerous to do a panel with your spouse, but if all goes well, I won't be sleeping on the floor later tonight. So, a little bit about us. Let's see. I'm a professor of communication. I teach at a small liberal arts college in North Carolina called Pfeiffer University. I teach communication, so public speaking. This is, what I do a lot of.
Not my thing.
Not her thing, no. So this is actually the first panel she's given, so let's be nice. All right. I'm a long-time MAGFest panelist, so I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I'm on a couple of other panels later this weekend. So I'll be doing one tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow, on love, and another one on, playing nice. So these are the nice panels this year. This is the good stuff. What?
What?
Okay.
No comment.
I just gotta check. It's good to do. Let's see. I've gamed for a long time. Written a couple of gaming books, and my area of interest is video games. That's what I wrote my doctorate thesis on. I was immersion in games. So I love talking about games and how people engage with games. And so this is a little bit different, and hopefully it will go fairly smoothly. So that's me.
All right. I'm Sarah. I'm his wife.
Or I'm your husband.
Yeah,
you can play
you're
it
my
that
husband.
way.
Either way. Let's see. I am an artist. I run Gothic Panda Studios. So you can find me online at Gothic Panda, at most things. And I've been playing video games ever since the 8-bit Nintendo came out. That was my first system.
Mine too.
Yep.
That tells you how old we are as well.
We've been playing together since we got married in 2000, so we're still together after almost 18 years. That's pretty good.
Yeah, we have 4 children, 2 of which are in the audience, if you can find them, bonus. They're turning beet red like right now. This is great. It's going like this, sinking lower in their chairs. A little caveat, we are not marriage counselors or couple counselors or anything like that. Any advice that we offer today is purely our own opinion and based on personal experience, things we've observed with others, so don't go along those lines.
Some of our mistakes we've learned from.
Some mistakes, yes. We know couples that have gotten together through games. We've known couples that have met online through games and married. We know couples that play together. We know couples that disagree about games. I don't know of any that have ever actually gotten a divorce over games. Have you? No? Okay, good. Then we're on the same page there. Secondly, we're also not going to talk about any kind of sexual or kinky games. Let's save those for the late night panels, and there are children present, so let's keep this generally PG. What we'll be talking about here is gaming as a couple. We're going to be talking about the dimensions of gaming as a couple, and that's, I think, going to be what we'll try and stick to. We may ramble a little bit. She's going on very little sleep.
Yeah, I work nights, and even though I took a half night last night, it was kind of like sleep for 3 hours and then drive up here for like 6-7 hours. Yeah. So if I ramble incoherently, that's why.
I'll poke you with a stick. It'll be okay. All right. So let's overview what we're going to talk about here. So here are kind of our key topics of discussion. I know, isn't that a cute picture? I've got lots of those, so hold your awes. First, we're going to talk a little bit about the importance, and by importance what I mean is why does this matter? Right? I teach about games, and oftentimes I have to tell people, okay, why does it matter to talk about games? Why is this a topic worthy of discussion? So we're going to look at some research. We're going to look at the statistics there. What has been said by the academics out there on this topic? Then we're going to talk a little bit about the positives of gaming together as a couple. What benefits can you enjoy? We're going to talk about some of the challenges. Note, I didn't say negatives. Because challenges are opportunities for growth. They're just harder.
They give you EXP.
They give you XP. There we go.
Yep.
I like that. We'll talk briefly about what is it like to actually be in a relationship with a non-gamer. It may not apply to most of you here, but it may. I don't know. Second, we'll talk about good and bad games. We're going to list a couple of games that are good and bad for you to play together as a couple. Now, this list is completely subjective, right? So, you never know. Your apples to apples game might turn into a screaming match. Your Monopoly game might turn into 50 Shades of Park Place. I don't know. I don't know. Right? So this list is completely subjective, but I want to give it to you anyways because I think it's good. And then last but not least, we're gonna wrap up with the gamer love languages. How can you show that you love someone through gaming? And then we'll leave a little bit of time at the end for some Q&A. Sound good?
Great.
All right, sounds great. All right, so let's dive in. Why is this topic important? I'm going to give you some statistics here, right? Okay, so some statistics. This comes from the ESA, the Entertainment Software Association. This is a trade company made up of video game, companies that basically research the gaming market and the gaming industry. This is their 2017 statistics, so it's pretty recent. It's focused primarily on video games, so this doesn't include all those other types of games you may play as a couple. Like board games, card games, role-playing games, whatever. So, it's kind of a little bit limited, but I think it'll be helpful to us. So here's the first one, and that they found that 67% of U.S. households have some system used for gaming. And it might be as simple as a cell phone, but for the most part, they're talking about PC gaming and are used for gaming, not consoles just yet. 48% of U.S. households actually have a console system specifically for gaming. This is across U.S. households. This is Xbox, PlayStation, that kind of thing. We just got a Wii Switch. That thing's been so much fun. I really gotta say, I like it. All right.
Nintendo Switch. Wii's a different thing.
Gosh, Nintendo Switch.
I thought
Nintendo
I was the one
Switch.
with no sleep
And you're
here.
yeah, maybe I should be the one, or just sitting back and letting you talk. All right. They found that the average gamer is 35 years old. This is kind of a bit of a surprising number. I mean, do keep in mind that the ESA cannot technically study anyone under the age of 18 without permission from their parents, so this may skew things a little bit. But they also found that there were more females over the age of 35 that played than males under the age of 18. That one kind of surprised me too. But it's kind of a growing trend. They find that in general, 42% of the people they talk to who game regularly are women, 58% male. This number seems to change a lot. In 2014, it was around 48, 52%, so we're a little more 50-50, but it's still growing. So what we've seen is that, if you look back to 15, 20 years ago, it was predominantly male, but now we're seeing a lot more games appealing to women, a lot more games that women are playing, a lot more women are playing, and so that's positive. So we're seeing more men and women playing. All right. And that 53% of gamers like to play online with friends. They like to play with other people. All right. Now we're going to be focusing primarily on romantic relationships, but some of the things that we're talking about here, you could apply to friendships and family too. So, you can show love to friends too. Right? Some kinds of love. Okay. So, now we can draw three important things from these statistics. First, a lot of people play games. And many people play games fairly regularly, with the average about 6 hours per week. This is nowhere near as high as television, which is closer to 20, which is a part-time job. But it's still a pretty significant amount of time. It's a significant amount of people. So a lot of people play, and that number is fairly diverse. So that picture I showed you back here from, South Park, that's a stereotype. And what we tend to find is that stereotype is ceasing, it's becoming less and less true, if it ever was true. It's true? It's true. You've seen that? Yeah, I've known a few guys like that. So a lot of people play. Gamers are diverse. Many actually have careers. Many are over the age of 18. Many are likely in relationships, although the ESA didn't bother to study that at all. And that people like to play together. Multiplayer is kind of a bit of a golden goose now in most games. I mean, it's pretty much every game says, I'm multiplayer now. Even games you didn't think before, like Tetris, I'm multiplayer. Why would you make Tetris multiplayer? But still, it's multiplayer now because we got to get everybody together. And when you think about it, gaming is a social activity. Games are social activity. People get together to watch football games or soccer games or whatever. It's not. I'll admit that's not my cup of tea. I don't even drink tea, but it's still not my cup of tea. It's just not. But I do know a lot of people that do. And what they really love is they love getting together. They love talking together. They love interacting with. They love cheering together. It's all about being together. And the same thing can happen with couples in games. All right, so here are some statistics. So what do we see? What do the academics say? Did you have something you want to comment?
Nope.
No? Okay, that's fine. You let me know. All right. Oh, I got that.
Yeah, you finished that.
I finished that slide already. Wow, I'm ahead of things. Okay, so here's from one particularly famous study. So I found a couple of studies, and I just want to kind of quickly talk about them. This one is not specific on games and couples, but what they wanted to research is these researchers wanted to find out, if couples spend time together and do fun things together, are they happier? Now that seems like common sense, right?
Really?
And you find that most academics study things that are common sense, because if you find something that's false, you can't get it published. But if you find something's true, we'll publish it everywhere. And so what they did is they got 53 middle-class, middle-aged couples together. All right, so they got these couples, and they split them into two groups. They said couple A and groups of couple A and groups B. Group A, once a week, you guys go do something fun, like dance or ski together or go to a lecture. Yeah, that was on the list.
Yeah. So those of you couples in the group, you've done your thing for the week. You can ignore each other now.
Achievement unlocked, right? Couple group B, you guys don't do anything together. Okay? Apart from your mundane, like mowing the lawn or whatever. I don't know why you do that together, but still, they did this for 10 weeks. And then they interviewed the couples, and they found that the group A was happier with each other.
You think?
You think? But, hey, we got statistics to prove it now. All right, so here's another study. So this one also didn't focus on games, but it talked about shared leisure activities. So this was a long-term study. So they studied these couples over 10 years. And they said, all right, we want you to see what would happen when you two try and join each other in your hobbies. So this is all about whether or not couples liked each other when engaging in hobbies. And here's what they found. If there was a genuine interest, like if he was really into repairing cars and she joined him and she actually liked cars, it can happen. It can happen. If there was genuine interest, the couples were satisfied with the relationship. If he or she was doing something for the other couple and they really weren't that interested in it, I really don't like ballroom dancing, but I know you're really into it, so we'll go weekly. They found the couples it wasn't as good.
Resentful.
Yeah, they became resentful, all right? They also found if they did it together, the couples were happier, and if they did it apart, so if she worked on her sports car and he worked on his sports car, it didn't work out as well. So that was an interesting study as well. Again, not on games, but it did kind of illustrate something we already probably know, is that sharing a hobby can lead to better satisfaction as a couple, especially if it's genuine. All right, so what about video games? I found two studies that talked about couples in video games. There's not a lot of research on this, so if you guys are going into academics, this is an area worth studying. So one study I found was written by a guy this is his master's thesis, and he wanted to determine whether or not do video games impact attachment. And by attachment, he referred to engagement, feeling of closeness, that sort of things. And for the most part, this actually was a she. She found that most of the couples, they did not share an interest in games, so she didn't find very many that did. But when they did, they felt closer. However, here was an interesting thing she found. If they played violent games, it had an impact on whether they felt closer or not. So here's the thing. It was different based on the men and women in her study. If the men played violent games, the couples felt farther apart. It was okay if the women played violent games. If the women played non-violent games, like Minecraft, I guess, the men felt further apart. That's really weird, but a neat response. All right, so the kind of game maybe has an impact on feelings of closeness. Okay, well, I can go with that argument. Another study that I found, this one looked at 813 college students who said they were in a relationship, and a good one. And we have an odd number here. So I'm guessing there was a threesome or somebody was just by themselves. Or one of them was not aware of the other third. I don't know. But they studied 813 college students, and they found that the more the one partner played video games, the less time they spent with their partner, and the less the partner felt closer to them. So another kind of common sense thing. The more time you spend by yourself playing games, the less time you have with the relationship, the less satisfaction and quality there is. So that's what the research found. All right, so the observations we can draw from this research. One, couples that have fun together feel closer with one another. All right, that's pretty good. And that a big challenge, and that's one of the challenges we're going to talk about, is time. And that seems to be one that comes up over and over again. But before we get to challenges, let's talk about positives. So what are the positives of playing together? And I'm going to turn it over to Sarah here for this.
That's your part.
That's my part?
I was going to talk about the grumpy, complaining side.
Oh, you get to talk. She gets the fun side. Fine. All right, I'll talk about the positives. Okay, so here's one positive. You have something to talk with your partner about. Because nothing is more annoying than coming and sitting down and they're telling you all about their day and you have absolutely nothing to do with their day, right? Or have no idea what they're talking about. Right? So one of the big positives if you play together is that it gives you a conversation topic. It gives you something that you can converse about. You can make strategies together. You can talk about successful moves. You can talk about plays. You can talk about experiences you've had. So it gives you a starting ground for talking about it. You know, when television first came out, they thought that it would be a great marriage counselor. No, seriously, they did. And here's the reason why. They said it would be a great marriage counselor because it gave couples something they could do together and then talk about. So that they weren't just talking about, you know, mundane crap like changing diapers and stuff, but actually something fun. And the studies that have come since that time have actually shown that while it hasn't led to more divorces, it certainly hasn't increased them. So, positive there. Games can do the same thing. All right. Second positive. This goes with the time a little bit here. Understanding, right? So, by being engaged in what your partner does, you have a little bit of a better understanding of them and who they are and what they like doing, right? And so if they are currently on a raid on World of Warcraft, you can go, okay, I know this is going to take 20, 30 minutes. I'll come back later. You know? They'll know what it means if you say that you just got killed for the 15th time in Call of Duty. And you're pissed. And why you're pissed. And what you want to do with that person that just shot you 15 times. And then they're on the other side going, yeah, I know I shot you 15 times. Right? Yeah. But that's a positive. It is, because it gives you greater understanding of them. Right? And one of the hallmarks of a good relationship is understanding one another and having a good sense of closeness in that manner. I'm a communication professor, so this is one area I can actually talk about. And that's that the more we know about the person that we're with, the closer we're going to feel to them. The more attached we are, the closer we are. Now, of course, that's not a guarantee. The more you know about them, the more you may want to throw them out a window. But I can tell you one thing, communication, more communication will not reduce divorces, but less communication will. That didn't make sense at all, did it?
No,
Good for
that
you.
did not.
All right, we'll go with that. Another positive. All right.
I think you meant increase instead of reduce.
Probably.
Yeah.
You're the math person. All right. You totally lost, I lost my train of thought. Where was I? Okay, positive, shared experience. Okay, so if you play with them, one of the fun things that you can do is you can actually share the gaming experience. So one thing we like to do is we like to role play a lot. And so, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, sharing loot, you know, it's a pretty positive thing to do, or a challenging thing to do. Right? But we'll also play a lot of massively multiplayer online games too, and that's a great place to share loot too. Or at least can be. And I don't charge much.
Well, I think the shared experience thing is that you also develop stories. So we've been playing D&D since we started our group in 2000, maybe 2 months after we got married, and we've been playing since then. And we have a lot of stories that we can share because we were both there for the activities and the shenanigans of our group. And they're fun stories. Nobody else might understand them, but we do.
Yep. Yeah, I can say something, you know, level 20 berserker sheet, and she'll just start laughing.
Yes.
She'll know exactly what I'm talking. You'll be looking at me like, what? But regardless. All right. One last positive, and this one actually I drew a little bit. There was some research actually studying Army relationships. The two careers that lead to the most divorces are actually truck driving and military. And the reason is that they're apart so much. You know, that's what we found. And so there have been some studies that shown that actually couples in the military gaming together can do so online. And they can do so from a distance, and it helps them feel a little bit closer. There's no solid studies that have been published on this, but I have found a lot of anecdotal evidence on it. So there is some benefit to it. And gaming online, I mean, there were times where we'd be working very far apart and we'd just be playing a game together while doing other things. But, you know, but being able to play a game, you know, across town is fun.
Yep. And we did that one time where we were in between houses. I was staying on one side of the state and for about 4 months, and he was on another and across the state, like 5 hours away. So we wouldn't see each other until the weekends, and so we'd play World of Warcraft and chat in the game and do things together during that time.
Mm-hmm.
So from personal experience, it was better than nothing.
That's true. All right, challenges, your turn.
All right.
For those of you who can't read that, it says, I only feel alive when I'm killing someone.
Yes. All right, so one of the biggest potential challenges is different gaming styles. How competitive is your partner? Do they prefer competitive games? Are they really aggressive player? Do they prefer playing cooperative, play nice with each other?
Are they a sore loser?
That's me.
Or a sore winner, yeah. Head
Yeah.
that one off.
Yeah, no, sore loser. After a month of losing to him, Skip-Bo, straight, I won't play that with him anymore.
Such a good game.
No.
Love Skip-Bo.
We used to play it every day for lunch. We'd be home for lunch, and we'd play a game of Skip-Bo, and after losing for a month straight, I'm like, no, I'm done. So, yeah. And then it's, okay, I lost my train of thought. That was your turn.
No,
Or-
we're still on challenges.
Yeah,
we're
different
gonna-
genres of games. Do you like the same genre? Do you like different genres? He's more open. I'm more picky. I love my RPGs, my narrative games, and he's less picky.
Yeah, I'll play a lot of different games. But also, not only that, but you also have different types of players. So
Yeah, we're going to get into that. Okay. This is Bartle's, I guess, grouping of people, and it's fairly well known, and he grouped them into killers, people who like killing other people, kind of obvious. Achievers, people who want all the achievables.
gotta catch them all.
Yeah, gotta catch them all. They're the ones that get all 150 Pokemon.
No. There's like 3,000 now.
I don't recognize anything past the original.
I can't name anything past the original.
I can't either.
It's Spoink. I know there's a Spoink. I caught one earlier.
The explorers who just want to, see what can be done in the game. The fact that one of my kids is an explorer, he was playing the new Legend of Zelda game and discovered you could cook the fairies. Okay, Okay, kind of funny, but the fact that he even tried. just because you can. They're going to do it. And the socializers, people who like to just interact with other people in the game. And that can be a challenge because these types of people don't always get along with each other. Like, the socializers don't really like killers because usually the killers are messing up the game for them. Or raining on their parade kind of thing. Or the killers don't like the achievers because the achievers also tend to have very powerful characters that are harder to kill because they've got all the things in the game.
They've got the gold and the weapons.
They've got everything in the game, so.
So what would you say you are?
Me?
Yes.
Somewhere between the socializer and the achiever. Yeah.
Okay, all right. You throw the question back. All right.
Yeah.
What
about you?
I was waiting. I'm more the explorer type, so I like that kind. Although I would tend to lean towards the achiever as a secondary. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
So what type are you? What type is your partner?
Yeah. And really the point of knowing what your type is kind of thing is that it makes you more aware of what you're interested in getting out of the game and what your partner might be interested in getting out of the game so you can support and encourage each other or go maybe understand the way they behave a little better.
Yeah. She's a bit OCD about collecting things. So I'm like, all right, fine. We'll go get this achievement.
Anyways, moving on.
Moving on.
Another challenge is casual versus hardcore. The big difference is hardcore players, it's a big part of what they do. They play more, this part of their identity, they identify as a gamer, whereas casual gamers, yeah, it passes time, but it's not the end of the world if they don't get on to get their login bonus that day or something. Mm-hmm. And this is another grouping of people. One of my personal favorites, based on role-playing challenges. The real role player, these people are the ones that build the elaborate backstories and personalities for their character. That's me, actually, in role-playing games.
That's definitely you.
Yes.
She'll draw pictures of her characters while we're playing. She's sitting there
No, that's actually how I start. I start with an image of a character, and then I try to figure out how to make it fit in the rules otherwise. Like, I don't actually start with a class concept. I just this is what I want, and I'm going to figure out how to make it work. So, character first. The real men, real women, they're the ones that are into just being noble, being heroism, developing power in game. Mm-hmm. The loon.
That's me.
Yeah, you can tell.
No.
How much trouble can you cause? Be the center of attention, disrupt everything.
But I do so well.
Yes, you do.
Yes.
And then the munchkin, the one who takes the rules and figures out how to min-max everything.
They like the math behind the game.
Yes. So.
Which isn't a negative.
No. And again, it's just understanding the person that you're playing with. So it's a challenge. It can be a challenge, but it's not necessarily.
So she puts up with a lot knowing that I'm a loon.
Yes. And another big challenge is envy or jealousy. One is time. If your partner is spending 20 hours a week playing a game, that's 20 hours they're not necessarily spending with you. Or if you're stuck at work, that's 20 hours you're not getting to play games and they're getting to, and that really sucks.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. And, or occasionally it's jealousy. I remember, gosh, maybe 10 years ago now, we were playing an MMO called Ragnarok Online, and I played a priest. Yes. And there were times where he'd have to go to class and school because he was working on his PhD, and I want to play. I'm a support class. And so he'd be like, you're off playing with these other mages and these other guys, and they're going to take you away from me. This was actually an issue for
yes, it was.
A little bit of time.
I got over it. It took time.
I'm like, no, I just want to play the game. Anyways, so it can be a thing. Moving on. I don't like your computer. Yes. Animosity in game. Some games are designed to encourage frustration and animosity. They really are.
Yep. Monopoly. was originally designed by a homeschooling mother to teach her children the evils of capitalism. She designed it to be personally frustrating and annoying, and it is. The thing is that people really like that. They like the sadistic pleasure of crushing someone else. And so Monopoly has enjoyed a long-standing career as a classic board game. I won't touch it. We have 5 copies of it. I don't know why. People keep buying them for us. Here, it's Looney Tunes Monopoly. Yay. It's Star Wars Episode 43 Monopoly. Yay. And they're gathering dust. But I won't touch it. Likewise, you won't touch Gippo, so it works.
Yeah.
That's gathering
Fair.
dust.
But yeah, some games are just designed to do that. Risk and Monopoly are listed as 2 of the more common ones because when you're losing, you tend to know you're losing about halfway through, and you're still sitting there for like an hour losing before you either just rage
It's
quit,
just a
table
matter
flip.
of time.
Yeah,
How long until
How
I
long?
owe you everything?
pretty much. I happen to actually like Monopoly, so, you know.
You like Monopoly.
Again, challenges, time. It does take a lot of time to play a lot of the games that are out there.
I mean, Skyrim takes what, 300 hours?
To get everything.
And that's if you skip the side quests? At least?
I don't know. I haven't had time to play that one.
I haven't either.
You know, being an adult in the real world, free time is a commodity. You don't have a lot of it. I mean, if you're honest.
Yeah.
So, it just, anyways, then you can have it now.
Okay.
I'm done talking.
All right. Okay. So those are challenges, but they can be overcome. But they are things that are important to talk about with your partner. So let's talk about just briefly relating to a game. So what is it? What if you're a gamer and they're not, or they're a gamer and you're not?
If you're not, you're probably not. I don't
If
know
you're
why
here,
you're
you're probably a gamer. But I don't know. You might be at another conference and just wandered into this room. There's like 3 conferences going on here right now, I think. So
Okay, maybe.
you never know. So what's it like to date or be with a non-gamer? And this can be equally as challenging. Do you have to give it up? Is the question. And I don't have a solid answer for that, but hopefully not. But there are 2 things that can really help, and I'm going to draw from my communication background here on these 2. First is respect. So, and this is more for the non-gamer here. So if you're not into gaming, it's helpful to be respectful of your partner's hobbies and interests. Don't dismiss them, because that's the quickest way to really hurt them, right? And so, if they have if they're scheduled to do some sort of game with their friends, I mean, that's a social event that they're supposed to be with. It's like, you saying with your friends, we're going to go see a movie or something like that. It's along the same lines. So if they get together to, complete a dungeon or something like that, and they do that every Thursday night at 6 o'clock, then don't just dismiss it and say, oh, well, you can always reschedule. No, they're depending on that person to be part of the game. So be respectful of your spouse's interests or hobbies, even if you're not into them, right? So even if you I'll admit, she's into crochet. I know nothing about it, except that it involves yarn, which admittedly is cheap, and I like that. But there are a lot more expensive hobbies out there.
Yeah.
But, but when she's sitting there working on it, I'm not, it's one of those things where, hey, do you have the time to be able to help me with something else? I'm not like, well, put that down. You're not doing anything worthwhile. You're just crocheting. But I know it's your Zen time, so.
It keeps me from hurting people.
Particularly me, so I like that. No. All right, and then second, communication. So, communication. I will speak on this one here. So, communication is the foundation of most relationships. It's how we build, it's how we maintain, it's how we destroy a relationship. So, lack of communication is very hurtful in any kind of relationship. So communication is something, so if you are the gamers, this one's more for those of you who are gaming and you have a non-gaming spouse, communicate with your significant other, your partner, your spouse, whatever. Talk to them about what you're doing. They don't need to know how to play, and don't make them play. You're like, oh, no, you gotta play, you gotta play, you gotta play. No, they don't have to, but at least explain to them a little bit behind it so they understand the mechanics, so they can't, so like if you are in the middle of a dungeon, you can't just put it down and walk away and clean the toilet, right? You need to get to a stopping point. You can't just pause an online game, right? That kind of thing. So communicate with them. Talk to them about why you like it, what interests you about it, what you do in it. So, alleviate any concerns they may have. It's like, did I hear you talking to a girl or a guy on that? Yeah, but they're part of the guild. It's not anything scary, right? So communication, very helpful there. All right, so those are two pieces of advice that we can talk about and two things to keep in mind when being in a relationship with a non-gamer.
I think those could also apply if you have two gamers that like different things too. I mean, you already have some understanding, but you could still do to be respectful and communicate.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
That never hurts.
All right, good games. Good games to play as a couple. Okay. I don't know where my notes anymore. Okay.
Yeah, that's my thing. I'm going to be the positive one this time.
You get to be the positive one.
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
All right. So we're going to start this out by talking about different themes here. So rather than just listing specific games to start with, we're going to talk about finding things that you can play with your partner, because each person's list for this is going to be different. So, preferred genres. What do you like to play? What does your partner like to play? Are there anything in there that's really close to each other? So they're like, well, I like these games and you like those games, but we both like this game, so let's play some of that together. So that's a good place to start.
So finding one that, so if your partner's not into first-person shooters, but they love role-playing games, making them play a first-person shooter, they may be able to play it and they may be able to play okay, but they may not like it because it's just not their thing. It's not their type of gameplay.
I hate first-person shooters. So, but
there's a few that I like.
Yeah, and but we both like RPG games, so the MMOs like World of Warcraft, Ragnarok Online, those make great games for us to play.
Last one we did was what, Final Fantasy 14?
Yeah, we did Final Fantasy 14 for a little while.
Eventually we need to, do some of the end game content there.
That's called not having time and being an adult.
Oh yeah, that too.
Adulting sucks, always. I don't know why there was ever a time in my life where I wanted to do this. And another one's player skill. Okay, so it's also good to play a game where you're about the same skill level, unless you've got a very forgiving partner or one who's willing to kind of come alongside with you and learn and be better at it. It's like,
so you may be a chess master, and your partner thinks a rook is a bird.
not the best.
Not the best game to play together.
Unless they're, really patient and willing to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us have short tempers, and that's not a good thing. Gaming style. Again, this goes back to... There is some truth about it, except, we did this to one of our kids. I needed a healer, so we encouraged him to start playing Final Fantasy 14, right?
We bought him an account so he could heal us.
Wow.
Hey, he liked it.
He's a teenager. He's old enough to say no if he didn't want to. He could think for himself.
But think about your game styles. Think about, going back to our early topics of the type of gamer they are. How do they like to play? What are they interested in playing? Is there any area of overlap that you both share? Are you both explorers in a particular type of game? Or if you're in a role-playing experience, being aware that your partner's going to have an extremely intricate backstory and somehow you've got to fit into it.
Yeah, pretty much. And you could also look at, there's different ways to play. You can play cooperative games, like there's cooperative board games, MMOs, things like that. You can play competitively. You can play team games with other people. You can do turn-taking games like classic Mario and Luigi, where you each just take a turn on a level. Creative play. This is here because there are creative ways to enjoy games together for what you might consider a standard first single-player game that aren't designed to be multiplayer. So one of his examples that he gave when we were talking about what to talk about here, it was where one person, like, he might be playing the game and I could be sitting there with a game guide helping him figure out this really tough section where I'm looking up the map or something and giving him the information he needs to keep going.
Or likewise, you could play a game like Mass Effect or Dragon Age, and one of you controls the character, but the other controls the dialogue.
I actually kind of like that because I'm really bad at those kind of games. So I do really bad at them and kept dying. So I'm really happy to let him play, but I get to control what happens. I like that. It works.
It made for very interesting play.
It was actually very entertaining, and it kind of degraded, being that he is a loon, into a lot of silliness. But it was a lot of good laughs. Shared experience. So,
but the key thing here is enjoyment.
Yes.
Are you having fun together? And it's good to assess that. Are we having fun? No? Then let's stop. And don't just assume, like, I'm having fun. Are you having fun? Or you're like, I hate this, but they're having fun, it seems. So let's just keep doing it. They hate it too. But they're having fun. They're pretending for you. And then you both realize, we really hate this game, don't we? Yes. Let's burn it.
And then there's another kind of shared experience.
All right. And then there are a few genres that are really good to play together.
Yep. So I know, I don't play these personally, but I know a lot of people who are couples who play Rock Band together. That's one thing they like to do, say Friday evenings, is they get together, they download new songs and have fun. Mm-hmm. It works for them.
So rhythm games, right? They're meant to be performative as long as your spouse doesn't make fun of your bad dancing or your bad karaoke or good karaoke. You might be a great singer, I don't know.
I'm not.
I'm not.
No.
I'll admit, no, I should not be anywhere near a microphone and singing.
No. And MMOs make really good games to play together because a lot of times you can play them cooperatively. You can go and do dungeons together, quests together.
Mm-hmm. And they adapt to different gameplays. So, I tend to like to play. DPS.
You like the wizards. I like tanks.
So it works out. MOBAs. Oops, going back. Skipped ahead a bit. MOBAs. I'll admit I don't play MOBAs, but League of Legends, Dota, that sort of thing, I have some friends that play them, and they say that they're actually very good team games. And so some of you are shaking your heads going, no, no, no.
I imagine they come with a high frustration level.
I imagine so. Yeah, okay, now we're getting the nods. Yeah. All right, so, well, maybe not. So, again, the subjective list. This was just a recommendation to us. Role-playing games. And pen and paper, Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, that kind of thing.
Marvel.
Star
Wars.
Star Trek.
That was before you.
Okay.
That was back in high school years, like when I was a much younger person.
Anyway, so role-playing games, great. And when we role-play together. Sometimes we'll play characters that are in a relationship. Sometimes we'll play characters that are not. It can be fun to do either one. Because it's really fun to pretend to be characters that are in love and get all googly-eyed and stuff and smoochy in front of the other players, because just watching their faces alone
Hilarious.
is just hilarious.
No.
Racing games. Of course, this depends on the person. A lot.
Okay, I think you could have picked a better image
I
for this.
probably could have picked a
because,
better racing game.
Yeah, this could easily turn into Who Shot the Blue Turtle Shell very quickly.
Yeah, probably so.
But I do know people who actually play, say, Grand Theft Auto 5 and that's what they do together.
Yeah.
And they enjoy it. I'm like, okay, it works for them. Not my thing, but it works for you.
And there are some
Great.
great cooperative board games being released now that did not exist like 10 years ago. Pandemic and Legendary are two great examples of that, where you work together against the game board to defeat it. And so that's a pretty good one. I like Legendary, but man, that game takes forever
To set up.
to
And
set
play.
up
And put away.
I like it, but boy, they need to streamline that. Party games. They're meant to be played with others to have fun, so they're pretty good to play together. As a
Well,
couple.
okay, these are better to play with like a larger group of people, but you're still playing together and part of the shared experience versus just two-player.
Yeah.
Some of these
Yeah.
don't do so well as two-player.
Yeah, I don't know. Cards Against Humanity is not a great two-player game.
No.
But still. And then there are a few specific games we can list that are fun to play together. The new Super Mario Brothers, where you can both play on the same time as opposed to taking turns, as in ye olden days, can be lots of fun, unless you're stomping on each other. But and then Portal 2, which had a really fun little cooperative component to it, which I think they underplayed and really could have built stronger. But it did have that element to it, which I think is really good. Games to avoid. Okay. First-person shooters. And I have the statistics to show this one. First-person shooters tend to result in increased feelings of aggression and irritability. This is studied and shown. And that can come out verbally. Just log on to Xbox Live at any time. And that's not always a great combination when you're playing with someone you care about. So first-person shooters generally, and again, these are subjective, so you may be great together, but studies show you're treading on thin ice. These games.
Yes.
These games are known to create more fistfights than practically anything else. Not only do you know at one point very soon, early on, that you're losing, and it's really drawn out that you're losing, but there's that just sadistic sense of glee the winners get that make the game just unbearable. We have a rule in Phase 10. Phase 10, the goal to win the game is to have the fewest number of points. We have a rule, if you get 1,000 points, you win.
It's happened.
It's happened. Because, you can't try for that. It just has to happen, which it can.
Yes.
And, Monopoly's on there. And then street fighting games. Recommend against. The goal of this game is to pummel your opponent. Not always a good combination when you're with somebody you care about, but again, it depends. All right, so the gamer love languages. So how can you show you love through games?
Well, it's more like how you like to show affection through gaming and how your partner might. So it's recognizing how you like to give and then receive affection.
And we've divided these up into D&D classes because we're big role players.
Yes.
So first one is the cleric. The picture vanished.
Yep.
Oh well.
Whatever.
Anyways, okay, so this type of showing affection, this type of player shows affection by playing classes that support other players. They provide in-game assistance in some form or fashion. This can be buffing, this can be healing, this could be a complementary class. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say it can be literally playing the healer class, or it can be playing a complementary class. It's going, okay, you want to play this class? Well, I know this one's going to go well with it. It's not necessarily a healer class. It may even be a killer class, but it's designed to complement the other person. It's kind of a service-based thing. And
providing technical assistance, offering that help within the game itself, within the game mechanics.
Hey, here, let me show you how to find this. And that's, if you're that kind of person, you're also going to like to receive that kind of help. So
yeah, so these gaming levels, this isn't just how you show affection, this is oftentimes how you like to receive it too.
So like this is one of mine. So I will do that, but I'm like, okay, I'd like to play this class now, and I would like for him to show he cares by picking a supportive class for mine.
I don't mind, usually. The Bard. The Bard's all about time. The Bard shows affection by spending time. Their idea of showing affection is, I will wait to play with you. So I know you can't play right now. I really want to play, but I'm going to wait, because time spent with you is more important to me. They're the kind of players that they're very social in the game. They're very friendly, conversant with others. They're concerned about how other people are feeling, their experience. So they reach out, they ask, are you having fun? Is this good for you? Is this working? That kind of thing. So they're all about that quality social time. Anything you want to add to that one?
That's probably the other half. Like I do some cleric, and then the rest of me is the bard. I do a lot of socializing and doing time. Actually, I mentioned we played Ragnarok Online. That's part of what started the jealousy thing over me playing the healer and playing with other people. Because for the longest time, I would wait till he got home from class to play, and then I'm like, but I really, really, really want to play this. I'd make up for it later. I'd take it off Shared Experience so he could catch up with me, but I was like, I just want to play more. Not my fault you can't be here.
The Wizard. The Wizard shows affection by giving verbal compliments. So it's all about the words. It's all about offering praise and encouragement. You did a good job. I really liked that. Thank you so much for that. All right. Public demonstrations. So some games you can actually get married in. Final Fantasy XIV has a marriage system. We should do that.
Yeah, we haven't done that yet.
We haven't done that yet. Ragnarok Online did. That was fun.
I love that.
I
love the ability to summon him to my side anywhere, at any time. That was awesome.
She could do that at any time. I could be in another dungeon with another group and suddenly, gone.
You're here.
Be like, and I'd look at her and go, thanks. Because I didn't get I didn't even offer permission. Just she has to push a button and I'm there.
Love that.
That was a neat mechanic, admittedly. All right, the warrior. The warrior is the physical side. All right, so the warrior shows affection by showing physical signs of affection. They're the kinds that like to do the emojis, showing the little hearts, giving you virtual hugs, and even offline. They're the kind of players that like to play next to you.
In the same room.
In the same room, right up against you.
Even if you're not playing the same game, like in the same room, playing your games. Mm-hmm. They like to be close. That's his.
Yeah, I'll admit, that's mine. That's mine. And then last but not least, the rogue. The rogue shows affection through objects and items. Let me give you gold. Let me give you flowers. Let me buy you digital stuff.
Let me give you this epic armor that I just crafted for you.
Yes. So helpful to know what kind of affection your partner likes and what kind you like.
Because, yeah, if you speak one of these languages and they speak another one, you may think you're spending all this time with them and they are liking it, but they really want you to...
Send them a digital flower.
Or, yeah, help you get that pet.
Or help you get that pet. Yeah.
Or mount in-game.
Or wait for you to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's review what we've talked about here today. So we've talked about the importance, why it's important to think about couples in gaming. It says for many of us, gaming is what, you know, we like to do. It's part of our life. And so it's one of those things that if you are sharing that life with someone, is in a romantic relationship or even as a friendship, then it's an area that is worthy of discussion. It's an area that is worth considering. And so if you're thinking of marrying somebody and they tell you, no, I'm sorry, video games are a waste of time, you'll need to give that up. Are they more important to you than that? Right? Because we have a good friend who really, really wanted kids. He married somebody who didn't want kids.
Well, no, I asked him about it, and he said she's worth it.
You know?
She is, like, she completes me. She is the most amazing person I have ever met, and they've been happily married ever since. And he just made it work for him because...
They did end up with kids, though.
Just not as many as he wanted.
You know, he wanted like 20. They have 2, so, which is good.
You know, but it's like, but he didn't pressure her for that. He decided that she was more worth more to him than that.
Right.
What he wanted for his life, or thought he wanted.
So we've talked about the importance, we've talked about positives, so there are some good things about playing together as a couple. There are challenges that are worth considering and hurdles that are a struggle. I'll admit, I did have trouble, and I had a lot of trouble, jealousy with you playing with other people while I was at work. But, you know, I got over it.
I have issues being envious when he's sitting there playing and I'm dealing with something else that I'd really rather not be doing, like work or something. I get upset sometimes.
Yep. And then we talked a little bit about what it's like being in a relationship with somebody who doesn't game. We talked about some good games and bad games to play as a couple, and we looked at 5 different game love language, which we adopted a little bit from Chapman's 5 love languages, but put them in more of a gaming context. So that wraps up our formal presentation. This says, "Love is playing with you." So we're going to open the floor now to questions, comments, and rude gestures. So, I've got a question way in the back.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so first I was just curious, like, how many guys here are married? Okay, so I just want to make sure.
Wait, I should have raised my hand too, yeah.
I tend to notice that a good handful of women don't actually, like, when you ask, like, them to play games, like, obviously, she doesn't sound like she's not interested to play, but her reply is always, "I'm bad at them." So it seems like she can't get over the fact that she's not good at the games, so that therefore she can't have fun playing the games. Like, so I don't really know how to...
That could be false modesty. I'm not really good at this game, then she trounces you at it. But that kind of self-defeating, I'm not very good at it, well, the best way to get good at it is to do it. All right? So offering that encouragement and that support. All right, well, let's start something together that I'd have never played. Yeah. Question? Or did you have a comment on this one?
You more or less covered it.
Yeah, I covered it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to get this one, and I'll catch you. All right, so go ahead. Up front. Yeah, go ahead.
Mine was more a comment on the previous question.
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of completely relate with that. My girlfriend and I have been going out for 9 years, and I still have no idea how League of Legends works. She tried to teach me. I have no idea what a Q does, a W does. I don't know how to loop in with Ezreal. I have no idea. For one of those things, I guess my comments on this is finding a common ground. Because I suck at League of Legends. She may suck at other games. But it's about finding a game that you're really good at together. Castle Crashers, for example. I guess mine was less of a question, more of a comment.
So that'd be a game you'd recommend, is Castle Crashers.
Castle Crashers, yeah.
All right.
We can just smash buttons. It doesn't matter if I'm powering up a Q or a W. I don't know what those are. So we can play Castle Crashers together. It's a really great time for us to and I think that's a thing for, I guess if I was to make a comment about most relationships, is not finding a game that maybe that one likes or the other likes, but finding a game that you both can get into.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to one game, I she's not going to get into visual novels. I'm not going to get into League of Legends. But we can both get into Castle Crashers or like the Scott Pilgrim like street beat 'em up games.
Oh, there you go.
So I think
That's a good one.
comment I like to say is that sometimes it's not about finding a game that's common ground or like one likes with the other, but it's about finding a game that you both like or finding something maybe new that you both like and jumping into it. And it's totally fresh for the both of you.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's
I
a
would
good
agree.
idea.
I would agree. Okay, back there, and I'll get to you. Okay, so you come closer.
Okay, so in my relationship with my boyfriend, we both like games, but I have a far much more intense, passion for them than he does. It's not that he doesn't like them. It's just he doesn't.
He's more of a casual player then?
He's more than casual, but he's not intense.
Okay, gotcha.
And there are a lot of times he's very respectful. He really does appreciate how it fits into it. But there are times and just ways I wish I could get him more involved in it. This seems to be as intense as I am. I just wish I could find some kind of way to make him kind of feel the same kind of passion I have for gaming as a whole.
Well,
I mean, even with like Overwatch, he gets really frustrated if he doesn't do as well as he wants to. I don't know if it's because he's with me and he wishes he was doing better or what, but I think we've kind of struggled to find a lot of stuff where we can do together.
yeah. Well, and those are the kinds of negotiations and conversations that all couples go through, really. I would think, I would assume, that you can't, while you would love for them to be as excited as you are into something, you want it to be genuine.
Exactly.
You don't want them to fake it just to make you happy. And so that's got to come more from them than from you.
Yeah.
And so seeing, if you find something that gets them excited, maybe encouraging that would be what you could do as support. But that would be my thoughts on it.
I think it would just go back to the respect and communication thing. Continue communicating what you're doing, try new things with them, and see if something like this gentleman in the yellow was speaking about earlier. You may like Overwatch and he may find it a little more frustrating, but maybe you'll eventually find a game that you maybe haven't even played yet that you can both get into. Like find something completely new so you're on the same skill level starting out.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty recurring thing that I continue to be a lot better because I put a lot more time into it. So just off
Well, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
that would make sense.
All right, over here.
So question to fellow RPGers that are married couple.
Yes.
What are your views on being in a tabletop RPG where one spouse is the DM versus a player versus both being players? Because I've had mixed experiences where you either have a DM that takes it out a lot on that other person because they're like, oh, I have to show I'm not showing favoritism, or you're showing and you have a DM that like does give favoritism because we have a lot of married couples that that we've played with in the past. So I just was wondering what your view is, being equal ground versus having one in the position of DM.
Well, I can say that I usually play DM, and so when I play, I try not to encourage favoritism, as tempting as it is sometimes. But I find that not only with DMs, when you have couples that take out some of the relational situations in the role-playing world, that can be very uncomfortable for other players, especially. It sucks for the other players. I mean, we've had games where there was a couple that was a couple, and then they weren't a couple, and that's just awkward. And then
there was one where.
And then there was one that got jealous. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was one of the guys who wanted to be with the girl who was running the game at the time, but she was not very receptive to that, and he would be so just subtly aggressive to her.
It was more passive aggressive.
Yeah, it was really frustrating. But then being legitimately friends with these people, you're like beating your head on the table because I'm like, I'm going to strangle them both before we get this resolved, possibly.
And with that situation, we split them up.
Yeah,
just had to. You know.
At the time, we had about
We're just like, no,
12,
we're done.
13 people in our
You are not
D&D
playing
group,
together.
so we had
You
enough
can't
people to
play
split
together.
into 2 smaller gaming groups.
Yeah.
And we physically separated them.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily see a difference when you see like one person DM versus the couple playing together as the players against a common ground?
Not very often.
I find when we play a couple together, we end up monopolizing a lot of the DM's time because he's a very loud player, though.
Yeah, yeah. I played a character called Evil.
Yeah, we actually created a pair of characters that were based off the magical girl archetype and the evil overlord archetype. And so I was playing the magical girl from the anime RPG that we wrote, and he was playing,
The Evil Overlord.
which was just a
fun.
more generic class, but he was a reformed evil overlord. He wasn't evil anymore because I was his therapist, and we ended up getting together, and I had reformed him, so he'd be playing. Wait, can
It's
I
okay
do
to
this?
flay them alive, right?
No, you that. But then he was playing a much smarter character because I was essentially playing someone with the intelligence doggy, like Sailor Moon, and yeah, I'd create these interesting messes, and he'd actually find a way to make it work, kind of subtly behind my character. It didn't offend me. Yeah, it was really fun.
You enjoyed it.
Yes, we had a great time, and for the most part, I think other people found it amusing. And then kind of scary because at one point my character got sent off into this alternate realm because we found it was a deck of
Many things.
many things, and I drew the thing that sent me to another dimension,
So my character started regressing.
back to evil. Yeah. Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Ed.
Just a little bit of introduction. I've been gaming since I was in high school. I was back in the 70s. Married my wife. I introduced her into gaming and we gamed for many years. The situation, generally, when I GM, and I say GM because I play other games, I never establish any sort of adversarial relationship with the players. We're here together to write a story and so on. So I never really had to deal with that kind of situation when I was playing favorites, because I was essentially playing favorites across the board. I was being, I want everybody to have fun. So what would generally happen is, as a GM, I'd be kind of curtailed because there's all these cool ideas, but I can't tell them about it because she's playing it. So there's that kind of thing where some of the shared experience is actually a little limited because there's just so much I can say. I have these great ideas, but I'm going to do. Oh, I can't tell you. So
Been there.
Yeah.
Been there.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying.
But I think generally, obviously there are the challenges that they mentioned. There's if people bring their real life into it, but you're going to find that no matter what. So.
Yeah, but in the end, the goal, and I think that's the important thing, is that you both have fun.
Exactly.
You know?
Everybody.
And everybody has fun, too. Yeah, no, the whole
And
group.
if you're not, you need to rethink what you're doing because life's too short to.
Waste time on that kind
Yeah.
of nonsense. Especially game time is so limited.
I know.
You don't want to spend a 6-hour frustrating game. You want to spend a 6-hour into fun. Well, at least that's
Yeah.
me. I don't know. That's why I don't pick up first-person shooters.
Yeah.
All right.
It was first. I don't know.
Back there.
There was.
What specific cooperative video games, specifically 2 players, would you recommend for couples?
It can be any genre, by the way.
Like,
Puzzle platformer.
I know we used to do DDR a lot together for just 2-player games,
Yeah, we played DDR together. We played.
and that was fun. She trounced me, but that's okay. Yeah, I'm not good at it. That's fun.
Yeah.
So good 2-player games. I actually really liked Heroes of Might and Magic, playing that with her.
We'd do some of the campaign settings, and we'd go in the settings to make sure that 2 of the players were allied, and we'd pick those 2 characters, and then we'd work together to beat the map.
And that was fun.
But we'd each have our own little castle and player, and
of
so we
course,
could use our own strategies and stuff like that to work through it.
Of course, MMOs,
But those aren't really 2-player
those
games.
aren't really 2-player games.
This is for somebody who really has not played games for most of her life, but I still like to game.
Ah,
Portal 2 is really cool.
I love Portal. I've already.
Portal 2.
Yeah, you mentioned Portal 2 had a 2-player.
Yeah, Portal 2's got a good 2-player component.
You should put out something for that.
Yeah, they really should. That was so underdeveloped. I was just like, oh, come on. That was, yeah, it was like a DLC or something. I'm like, come on, this is a great experience. But Civ games, yeah, those would be pretty good.
Do you like Sim games? The game where you're the princess and her prince, and you're trying to bring her dead father's coffin to his final burial place, and you have like this snarky ghost of your dad like, yelling at you and your boyfriend the whole time.
That does sound really
puzzle platform.
Okay. I love puzzle games.
Okay. All right. Well, we're running out of time here. We do need to move to allow for the next panel. But I want to thank everyone for coming. Thank you so much for sticking around.